Ever get that feeling watching a movie like it was just meant to be directed by that specific person?
Yeah, totally. Like a
It buckle up because today we're diving into the Hollywood multiverse, exploring those blockbuster movies that almost had completely different directors at the helm.
I love
Get ready for some serious what if brain twists.
Yeah, it's like peeking through alternate timelines of film history, isn't it?
It is.
Seeing how, like, a single decision could have completely changed
Right.
the course of a movie,
Yeah.
even an entire genre.
Okay, first up, we've got a director swap that'll make your head spin.
Hey.
Spielberg and Scorsese.
Right.
Almost trading Schindler's List and Cape Fear.
Whoa!
I mean, can you even imagine that?
It's wild to consider, right?
Ugh.
Spielberg, the master of heartfelt storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
almost back away from Schindler's List,
I know.
feeling it was too personal. He actually thought Scorsese's raw,
Yeah.
gritty style would be a better fit.
Yeah, but then Spielberg had a change of heart,
Right.
realizing this was a story he needed to tell.
Right.
A story deeply intertwined with his heritage.
Uh-huh.
So he took Schindler's List back.
Took it back. Wow.
And Scorsese ended up with Cape Fear.
Wow. So now it's fascinating to analyze
Yeah.
what each director brought to their respective films.
I think so too.
Scorsese's Cape Fear
Yeah.
is pure, unadulterated tension.
It is.
A slow burn of dread
Uh-huh.
that's so distinctly him.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Spielberg's Schindler's List, it's this emotional gut punch that captures the horrors of the Holocaust
It is.
while also highlighting the resilience of
Yeah.
the human spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Both Spielberg and Scorsese are now executive producers
What?
on a Cape Fear TV adaptation.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a full circle moment. Really, it
Yeah.
really makes you wonder how their history with the
Yeah.
original film might influence this new series.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
Could it be a sort of combined vision?
Yeah.
A blend of their individual styles?
I mean,
Or do you think one of them will take a more dominant role in shaping the series?
it's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised if they used this opportunity
Okay.
to explore aspects of the story
Yeah.
that weren't fully realized in the original film.
Right.
Maybe we'll even see some subtle nods to their individual style.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Right.
Maybe a bit of Scorsese's psychological intensity
Yes,
mixed with Spielberg's masterful storytelling.
precisely.
Yeah.
It could be a fascinating fusion of
Yeah.
their talents.
Uh-huh.
But regardless of the outcome,
Right.
this Cape Fear adaptation serves as a reminder
Okay.
of the enduring impact
Yeah.
these two directors have had on cinema
Right.
and how their paths
Mm-hmm.
have intersected in unexpected ways.
Okay, so from Hollywood heavyweights, we're jumping to a what if that almost brought an indie darling
Okay.
into a sci-fi horror franchise.
Right.
Danny Boyle
Oh, wow.
and Alien Resurrection.
What?
This one really threw me for a loop. Danny Boyle, the king of gritty realism,
Yeah.
directing a big budget alien flick.
It seems like an odd pairing, doesn't it?
It does.
But remember, this was post-Aliens, a time when the franchise
right.
was trying to find its footing.
Yeah.
Boyle, fresh off successes like Trainspotting
Oh, yeah.
and Shallow Grave,
Uh-huh.
was seen as someone who could inject new energy into the series.
Yeah, I can see how his visual style and knack for pushing boundaries might have appealed to the studio,
Yeah.
but why didn't it work out?
Um,
Was it just too big of a leap from his indie roots?
It was definitely a major shift in scale,
Yeah.
going from smaller,
Yeah.
character-driven stories
Mm-hmm.
to a massive production with complex special effects. Could be daunting for any director,
Yeah.
but there was more to it than just that.
Okay.
The studio envisioned Alien Resurrection
Yeah.
as a more action-oriented sequel
Okay.
in line with the tone of Aliens,
Right.
while Boyle was drawn to the psychological and
Right.
thematic depth
Yeah.
of the Alien universe.
Ah, so it was a clash of visions then.
Exactly.
The studio wanting a blockbuster and
Yes.
Boyle wanting to explore something more nuanced.
Boyle's known for his auteur approach,
Right.
for wanting to maintain a strong creative voice
Yeah.
in his projects.
Mhm.
It's unlikely he would have agreed
Yeah.
to simply churn out another action-heavy sequel.
Right.
He wanted to bring his own unique perspective to the franchise.
And that brings up a really interesting question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What does it say about the challenges of auteur filmmaking within a franchise?
Yeah.
Especially one with such a dedicated fan base.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It raises questions about artistic compromise.
Yeah.
About the delicate balance between a director's personal vision and the demands of a studio.
Right.
And about the expectations of an audience hungry for a particular type of experience.
Yeah, in this case, it seems like Boyle's desire to delve into the darker, more introspective elements of the Alien universe clashed with the studio's vision for a more straightforward action film.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it ultimately led to Boyle's departure from the project.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to speculate on what his Alien resurrection might have looked like.
Yeah.
Would he have been able to push the boundaries of the genre while still satisfying the studio and the fans?
Well, we can only imagine.
Oh, I know.
But it definitely makes you appreciate the unique challenges and opportunities that come with bringing an auteur director into a big budget franchise.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, from aliens, we're swinging over to superheroes. Before Sam Raimi brought us the web-slinging epic we know and love, can you believe Chris Columbus almost directed Spider-Man?
It's interesting to consider how Columbus, known for his family-friendly adventures like Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire, might have tackled a character like Spider-Man.
It's so different.
Would he have leaned into, like, the teenage angst and darker elements of the story?
Yeah.
Or would we have gotten, like, a more lighthearted action comedy version?
It's not as far-fetched as you might think.
Really?
Turns out Columbus has been a lifelong Spider-Man fan. Even citing the character as an influence on his filmmaking journey.
Oh, cool.
He was seriously in talks to direct.
Interesting.
Apparently quite passionate about bringing Spidey to the big screen.
And this wasn't just like a casual interest. Columbus was deep in development.
Oh, wow.
Really envisioning his take on the story.
So he was really going to do it.
But then another iconic character entered the scene, Harry Potter.
Ah, yes, the boy wizard who cast a spell on Hollywood.
Yes.
I remember reading that Columbus was completely captivated by the Harry Potter books and saw the potential for something truly magical on screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was determined to make it happen.
Wow.
He even wrote his own director's cut of the script.
Oh, wow.
And delivered this impassioned pitch to the studio.
Really?
Basically pouring his heart and soul into why he was the right person to helm the project.
So he had two potential blockbusters on his plate.
Yeah.
Both based on beloved characters.
Crazy.
Must have been a tough choice.
It was.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the lure of the wizarding world proved too strong.
Right.
Columbus threw his full weight behind Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
And while Raimi's Spider-Man was a game changer for superhero films,
it was.
It makes you wonder, what would a Chris Columbus Spider-Man have looked like?
That's a great question.
Would we have seen the same balance of humor,
action,
and emotional depth?
It's fascinating to consider that Columbus excels at capturing the spirit of childhood wonder and adventure.
He does.
But he's also demonstrated an ability to handle more mature themes, as seen in films like Bicentennial Man.
That's true.
Right.
He's not afraid to tackle complex emotions.
Right.
Do you think his version would have been more character-driven?
I mean,
focusing on Peter Parker's coming-of-age story, maybe with a touch of that John Hughes-esque teenage angst?
It's possible. He might have leaned into the relatable struggles of a high school student.
Right.
Trying to balance like his normal life with extraordinary powers.
Right.
We might have seen a more innocent, perhaps even whimsical interpretation of Spider-Man.
Right.
One that emphasizes the wonder and responsibility that comes with great power.
Yeah, I could see that.
Right.
A Spider-Man who's a bit clumsier,
a
bit more awkward, but still ultimately heroic.
Right.
It would have been a different take, for sure.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And, well, we'll never know for sure what a Columbus-directed Spider-Man would have been like.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even the most iconic films could have been entirely different.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the countless decisions,
right,
both big and small, that shaped the movies we see on screen.
Okay, our next almost film takes us from superhero action to a very different genre.
All right.
The deeply personal, character-driven drama, Good Will Hunting.
Ew.
Prepare to have your mind blown.
Okay, I'm ready.
Mel Gibson was initially attached to direct...
Wait, Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
The action hero, the director of Braveheart.
That's right.
Directing a sensitive story like Good Will Hunting.
Yep.
That seems surprising, to say the least.
I know, right? It's one of those what-ifs that makes you do a double take.
Yeah.
Remember, though, this was before Good Will Hunting became the Oscar-winning phenomenon that launched Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's careers.
So how did this unlikely pairing come about?
Yeah.
Was Gibson genuinely interested in exploring a more intimate story?
Yeah.
Or was it more of a, strategic move?
Well, Harvey Weinstein, the movie mogul himself, was championing the script and saw its potential. He was the one who approached Gibson.
Interesting.
Apparently believing he could bring a certain intensity and emotional weight to the story. And Damon and Affleck, being relative unknowns at the time, were eager to get their film made, regardless of who is at the helm. There's even a story about them pretending to have seen Braveheart.
What?
Just to impress Gibson, even though they hadn't.
Classic.
Yeah.
Talk about faking it till you make it. But even with their best efforts, it sounds like Gibson's vision for the film didn't quite align with what Damon and Affleck had in mind.
Exactly. His approach was much slower, more methodical, and the project wasn't really gaining momentum. So Damon and Affleck, being the bold go-getters they are, decided to take a chance and ask Gibson if they could explore other options.
And to Gibson's credit, he gracefully stepped aside.
He did.
Allowing Gus Van Sant, known for his work with young, often marginalized characters in films like Drugstore Cowboy and My Own Private Idaho, to take over.
And the rest, as they say, is Oscar history. Van Sant's more nuanced, character-focused style perfectly complemented the script, drawing out the raw emotions and vulnerabilities of the characters.
It really highlights how a director's style can fundamentally shape a film's tone and impact.
It does.
Imagine Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
With Gibson's more visceral, action-oriented approach.
Yeah.
It might have felt completely different.
I think so.
Perhaps even losing some of its emotional resonance.
Yeah, Van Sant's ability to capture the quiet moments, the subtle shifts in emotion, those were crucial to the film's success.
They were.
It's hard to picture Gibson achieving the same kind of intimacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the importance of finding the right director for the right project.
Totally.
Sometimes it's not about the biggest name or the most impressive resume, but about finding that creative synergy, that shared understanding of the story's heart.
Okay, so we've had director swaps. Indie darlings almost venturing into blockbusters. And action heroes almost helming sensitive dramas.
Crazy.
Now get ready for a what if. That almost changed the course of one of the most iconic blockbusters of all time, Jaws.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Steven Spielberg wasn't the first choice to direct.
Like Jaws?
Yeah.
The film that practically invented the summer blockbuster?
Yeah.
The movie that made everyone afraid to go in the water?
Yes.
Spielberg, the master of suspense, wasn't the first pick.
Yep.
Who on earth could they have possibly considered instead?
Well, it might surprise you to learn that the studio initially wanted someone with more experience handling a big budget production. They went with Dick Richards, known for directing comedies like The Culpeper Kennel Co. and Rafferty and the Gold Dust Twins.
A comedy director for Jaws. That's almost as unexpected as Mel Gibson directing Good Will Hunting. But I guess studio logic can be a mysterious thing.
Sometimes.
What happened?
Well,
did Richards just not get, the terrifying nature?
It's even more absurd than that.
Oh, really?
Apparently, during a key meeting with the producers and screenwriter Peter Benchley, Richards kept referring to the shark as a whale.
You're kidding?
That's
the central creature of the film?
Yeah.
The source of all the terror? And he couldn't even get the animal right. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a major blunder.
Wow.
Luckily, the producers had a backup plan. They have been impressed with Spielberg's work on The Sugarland Express.
Okay.
And saw his potential for creating suspense.
So in a way,
Yeah.
it was like a stroke of luck.
It was.
A happy accident that led to Spielberg directing Jaws.
I know.
I can't imagine anyone else capturing that sense of dread.
Right.
That primal fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Quite like he did.
It's incredible how a single misidentified animal could have completely changed the course of film history.
Right.
Jaws as a lighthearted comedy.
Right. I don't think so.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is. Just think. We might have missed out on those iconic shots.
Right.
The chilling score.
Yeah.
The sheer terror that Spielberg brought to life.
Right.
It really makes you appreciate the importance of finding the right director.
Yeah.
Someone who not only understands the material, but can elevate it to new heights.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground already. From Spielberg and Scorsese's near swap to Danny Boyle almost taking on the Alien franchise.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride through movie history.
It really gets you thinking about how different these films could have been.
It does, doesn't it? Like whole other versions we'll never see.
Right, exactly. But for our final almost film, we're delving into a collaboration that almost wasn't.
Ooh, okay, hit me.
A passing of the torch between two cinematic giants, Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg.
Now, this one is particularly fascinating to me because it touches on the idea of artistic legacy, of one filmmaker inheriting the vision of another.
It's a heavy concept, for sure.
We're talking about AI, artificial intelligence.
Right, such a unique film.
A project Kubrick had been nurturing for years. But sadly, he passed away before he could bring it to fruition.
It's almost like Kubrick was entrusting Spielberg to complete his unfinished symphony.
That's a great way to put it. And knowing Kubrick's reputation for, like, meticulous planning and control.
Oh, absolutely.
It must have been an incredible responsibility for Spielberg to take on.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the pressure.
Kubrick was known to spend years, even decades, developing his ideas. AI was a particularly ambitious project, a blend of science fiction and philosophical exploration that delved into the very nature of consciousness and humanity.
Heady stuff. And Spielberg, despite being known for his own distinct style, his more optimistic and sentimental approach took on the challenge of translating Kubrick's vision to the screen.
It's interesting because their styles are so different on the surface.
Right, but he immersed himself in Kubrick's notes, sketches, and early drafts, really trying to understand the essence of what Kubrick had intended.
It must have been like stepping into another artist's mind, trying to decipher their creative DNA.
Totally. The film, upon its release, received a mixed reception, with some critics praising its visual grandeur and emotional depth, while others criticized it for being too sentimental, too Spielbergian, and straying too far from what they perceived as Kubrick's darker, more cynical worldview.
Right. It definitely sparked a lot of debate, especially the ending.
Yeah, I remember some people felt it was too saccharine, too Hollywood, and didn't quite fit with the tone of the rest of the film.
That's right. The ending became a focal point for those conversations, with some viewers feeling it betrayed Kubrick's vision.
It's interesting how an ending can have such a profound impact on how a film is perceived.
It really can.
Yeah.
But here's where things get really interesting. Spielberg actually consulted with Kubrick's widow, Christiane, throughout the filmmaking process. And she confirmed that the ending he chose was very much in line with what Stanley had envisioned.
Wow, so it wasn't a case of Spielberg imposing his own style on Kubrick's material. He was actually trying to be faithful to the original vision, even though it might have clashed with audience expectations.
Exactly. And it highlights the inherent complexities of interpreting another artist's work, especially someone as enigmatic and visionary as Kubrick.
It makes you wonder, would the reception have been different if audiences knew from the start that the ending was truly Kubrick's idea?
That's a great question, and one we'll never truly know the answer to. But it definitely adds another layer to the discussion about authorship and artistic intent.
It also speaks to the challenge of balancing creative vision with audience expectations, especially when dealing with the legacy of a filmmaker like Kubrick.
Absolutely. It's a delicate dance, and there's no easy answer.
Well, there you have it. We've journeyed through the what-ifs of Hollywood, where iconic directors almost switched places, beloved franchises almost took different paths, and cinematic legacies were passed from one visionary to another.
It really makes you appreciate the unpredictable nature of filmmaking, doesn't it?
It does. It's been a fascinating glimpse into the alternate realities of film history, reminding us that even the most celebrated movies could have been something entirely different.
What I find most intriguing about these stories is that they highlight the delicate balance of artistry, circumstance, and collaboration in filmmaking. It's a reminder that the movies we see on screen are the result of countless decisions, both big and small, and that even the slightest shift could have led to a vastly different outcome.
So, to all our listeners out there, next time you watch a movie, take a moment to consider the what-ifs, the almost films that might be lurking just beneath the surface.
Exactly. Let your imagination run wild. Think about the directors who could have been, the choices that were almost made, and the stories that never quite made it to the screen.
It's a reminder that the world of cinema is full of surprises, and that sometimes the most fascinating stories are the ones that never quite made it to the screen. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of almost famous films.